Hey guys, so I don't know about you, but I've been following the Erica Kirk, Candace Owens debacle pretty religiously. I'd say I'm a little bit obsessed with it. So I've watched all of Candace Owens videos about the Charlie Kirk investigation, every single one of them. And if you haven't watched those, I would encourage you to go watch those. I'm not going to give a description of what's going on. I'm just going to jump in to write what I've noticed and my opinions. So, for those of you who don't know, hi, my name is Maddie, and I had a parent who was very psychologically manipulative growing up. They managed to get me to believe things about myself, my other parent, and the world that were absolutely not true. And the odd thing is that I've picked up on a lot of patterns in watching these interviews, particularly with Erica Kirk. And before we start, I want to set a few boundaries for this conversation. I want you to let you know where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to cause drama or picking sides. I actually wasn't even going to talk about this because it's not normally what I discuss on my channel. But I kept recognizing these patterns of psychological and religious manipulation. And I think that sometimes survivors of this type of manipulation often notice patterns and tactics quicker than others because we've lived through them. So I'm speaking from personal experience here, having a parent who used psychological and religious manipulation on me for years. And I understand from a personal point of view how these tactics actually work. So I'm going to be clear about why I'm doing this stream. When you've been through psychological or religious manipulation, you develop a kind of, like I said, pattern recognition. And I cannot deny that I have recognized some tactics and manipulative ploys coming from Erica Kirk. And if you followed my channel for a while now, you know that when Charlie Kirk died, I made a video about it. I was really shaken up. Whether or not you agree with everything Charlie believed, or whether you agree with everything Candace Owens believes, and I don't agree with everything they said or believe either. I think it's important that everybody questions things, that you know what's real for yourself, and that we are not manipulated into believing anyone else's agenda. I think Charlie Kirk was a big proponent of free speech and also of critical thinking. And so I'm going to start off with that in mind, and I'm going to give you my take as somebody who lived through psychological and religious abuse for 20 years. I want to walk you through some patterns that I'm noticing in this debacle. But first, I want to show you something that Candace Owens posted on X just the other day. Sorry, I'm a one-woman show, so I have to try to figure all this out. Here's what she said. She said, "I take back nothing. Charlie's goal in his political life was to become the next Rush Limbaugh. If you think Rush Limbaugh would have sat around trying to convince blue-collar Americans that questioning the JFK narrative was demonic or evil, or that he would have directed listeners to stop asking questions about his assassination, then you have no idea what Rush or Charlie was made of and why they moved the masses. The current Charlie Kirk show does not provide even so much as a respectable shadow of his fighting spirit." So I wanted to show that right off the bat because we all know that Charlie Kirk questioned a lot of things. He inspired others to use their critical thinking. And I know that he would have been against and was against manipulation of any kind. That being said, we are going to look at what's going on with the situation because recently this week, Turning Point USA and Erica Kirk, who has become the CEO and chairperson of the organization that her late husband founded and ran, they have been speaking out actually against questions that people have had. And I want to talk about the way they've gone about it because to me, this is just my own beliefs and my own take. It's been very alarming. Now, we're going to start by diving into Darvo. And if you have had any type of narcissistic abuse in your life, you probably understand what Darvo is, but we're going to review it for those who might not be familiar. this basically describes my childhood, you guys, right here, DARVO. So what is DARVO? As you can see in this little wheel, DARVO stands for deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. So if you have first the person or institution that has been asked questions or accused of wrongdoing. The first step is that they deny the wrongdoing. They deny all wrongdoing. Then that person or institution will attack the credibility, character, or motives of the person who has raised the concerns in the first place. And then what they do is they reverse the roles. The person who was accused of the wrongdoing, after attacking the credibility and character of the person raising concerns, presents themselves as the real victim and the other person as the aggressor. They demonize the person who has been asking questions. That is just one tactic that abusers use. But I want to make an important clarification here. What makes DARVO so effective is that it feels logical to outsiders and it makes sense in our brains when we're looking for an answer. So it might sound like, why are they causing division? Why won't they stop attacking us? Why can't they just be quiet and, honor the fact that she's a grieving widow? Why can't she just support Charlie's business? She's tearing down what he created. They will use all of these tactics and accusations that make it seem like they are the villain, even if all they are doing is asking questions. Survivors, however, might recognize this a lot easier and faster than others in the community because we've lived through it. We know what this is exactly like. On a personal note, I know what this is like intimately. When I realized that my mom had been manipulating me and abusing me for 20 years, I confronted her, and she has done DARVO on me. She denied everything, and then she attacked me. She said awful things, made me feel horrible. And then she reversed victim and offender. She's made my siblings and the rest of the extended family believe that I am the perpetrator, hurting her, and that she is the endless victim. So when somebody does this tactic of DARVO, I'll show it again. When somebody does this deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender tactic, not only does it trigger feelings of self-blame in the victims to try to silence the victims, but it also, research has found that this strategy is effective in discrediting victims. And so this is what I see playing out with Candace Owens right now. And if you haven't watched all of Candace Owens videos, you might not know, but she has actually not told lies. She asks questions and she provides evidence and receipts for the questions that she has been asking. That is the truth. She has not made these accusations they're saying that she has made. And so the first tactic that I've been seeing playing out is DARVO. And we see that playing out with not only Erica Kirk, but we see that playing out with Turning Point coming after Candace Owens altogether. And then on top of that, we see a bunch of influencers, a bunch of people in the media, in the political sphere, also dogpiling on top of Candace Owens, because I guess they believe that even if half the country is not seeing through their BS, that if they get enough people to say the same thing, maybe it'll start to sink in. And what I've seen on social media across the board since this began, and I'm smiling because it's just so clear to me as someone who's lived through this from my parent, has been that we all see the way that Erica Kirk has responded to her husband's assassination. I followed it very closely. I saw her first statement, I believe it was 2 days after, where she said that this battle cry of the grieving widow will echo, et cetera, et cetera. And then I watched her whole speech and how she quote unquote forgave the murderer. Within a couple days, she forgave Tyler Robinson. And then I watched it all unfold this past week, watching her more and more in her anger. I would say her fury that is exuding off the camera. It's been a really interesting take. And at first, everybody couldn't really say anything about it because she's a grieving widow. Everybody respects Charlie. Everybody respects the mother of his children. I saw so many people saying everybody grieves differently. Maybe this is just the way that she's grieving. But nobody could deny that there was this underlying uncomfortability, this underlying discomfort where you see the way she's reacting, you see the way she's responding, and it doesn't feel right. It's the gut intuition saying something is off. And I had a parent exactly like this, you guys. So for 20 years, I denied my gut instinct with my parent that continuously told me something is off, Maddie. Something's not right. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I always felt horrible around her, but I had to deny that gut instinct that something isn't right around my parent, my psychologically abusive parent, because otherwise I was unsafe having a parent like that. So when I get that feeling with people, whether it's in real life or online, I listen to it now. I pay attention. I got that feeling immediately with Erica Kirk. And like the good little, trained gaslighter I am, because my parent trained me to do this, I told myself the same thing. She's a grieving widow. Everybody grieves differently. Give her time. Who knows? Maybe she's just trying to throw all of her grief into the organization. But the more and more she talks and the more they try to do damage control, it's becoming even stranger. That being said, I'm just going to get into the next section of my spiel here, which is the gaslighting. And gaslighting is not just lying. It's not. Gaslighting is often misunderstood as lying or disagreeing with somebody, lying to someone's face. But real gaslighting is about confusing your sense of reality. Gaslighting is meant to destabilize you, to get you to question your sense of reality. It might sound like that didn't happen, or you're misinterpreting it, or you're too emotional, you're reading too much into things. And over time, gaslighting trains people to doubt their own perception of reality, to defer to someone else's beliefs and someone else's authority instead. And when you're confused, you're controllable. That's the whole point. That's why gaslighting is employed by these people. And so that those gaslighting measures I see across the board here. Now, I just want to play a video to get started about it. And it's Erica Kirk, and she's explaining or asking people to stop looking into what happened to her husband. And as I've been watching Candace Owens videos every day for the past few weeks, I've been secretly hoping that behind the scenes, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk had been collaborating, that they were sharing information, that they were working together to try to figure out the truth. I really, really was holding on to that hope. As naive as that might sound, I was holding on to the hope that maybe they're actually talking to each other. Maybe they're actually, exchanging information. They're working together. They just don't want the public to know it. But no, that's actually the opposite of the case. So Candace Owens, is good friends with Charlie Kirk. She's totally upset by the situation, and she's determined to get to the truth, because what the FBI has been telling us and all of the information out there from Turning Point USA, it's fishy, guys. It's fishy. It doesn't add up. There are so many questions. There are lies. There has been fraud exposure from TPUSA, and they have not responded to that. There have been lies about Charlie sending a text the day before he was killed saying, I'm afraid they're going to kill me tomorrow. He said that to 3 separate people, and now Eric is denying it. There are so many lies. The list of lies is very, very long. I encourage you to go watch all of Candace Owens' videos to get the full picture. What I'm trying to tell you is that I was imagining that Erica Kirk would be thankful for Candace Owens questioning everything, turning over every rock, leaving no stone unturned, as you put it. I would be, if that were me and I was a grieving widow and my husband had been assassinated, I would want the truth. That's right, Remy. Why would a wife not want the truth? I'm curious, guys. What do you think? Like, why would a wife not want the truth? The only answer I can come up with is that the truth is going to make her look bad. The truth is going to expose something she doesn't want to be exposed, right? Why else would she not want the truth? I thought she would be appreciative of all the hard work and investigative research that Candace Owens has put into the past few weeks into Charlie Kirk's assassination. But no, this is what she has to say. Erica Kirk.
Message to them is to stop. To stop.
No.
So her message is to stop. Her message to Candace Owens, and let's watch another one.
Keep telling me to come down while we're building. I don't have time for that. But here's my breaking point on that. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode.
I want to pause it there because let's not forget, they've made, I believe it's $50 million Turning Point has made since Charlie Kirk's assassination. They sold shirts at his memorial. They have made so much money. Now she's selling a book that he, quote unquote, wrote. We don't know really if he wrote it or not. I'm questioning everything at this point. And so I can't help think that this is projection because of all the money that she has now made as CEO of the company. And she's going after Candace Owens for making money from her podcast that previously existed before Charlie Kirk died. Let's not forget her series on Brigitte Macron, which came before the Charlie Kirk investigation for her, was extremely successful. This is not a business that she has built on her friend's death. It's just not.
Going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this. No.
I'm sorry, but that whole thing right there is frustrating. The idea that she does not have time. She's done Hannity, she's done The Five, she's done Fox and Friends, she's done Outnumbered, she's done Megyn Kelly Live, she sat down with the New York Times, she made time to fly to DC for Sergio Gore to be sworn into the ambassador to India. She has also made time for an upcoming CBS News town hall sit down with Barry Weiss, which was filmed today. So Erica Kirk has time. It is not her priority to respond to the majority, to that point that people are making hundreds and thousands of dollars. Like, they made $40 million like 2 nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that feels kind of a little bit like let them eat cake-ish. And we've made more than, separately from Mar-a-Lago, Turning Point USA, since Charlie was killed, just so you guys know, this is a fact, has made more than $100 million. That is separate from the $40 million they made at Mar-a-Lago the other night. I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk Show is my family. She's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique. Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to launder the reputation of That's fam. I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person in your organization is sexual deviant. That's fam. That is my, don't you get me upset. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies.
No, I don't agree with that. So I'll just end it there. Like I said, you can disagree with someone and not write them out completely. I will get to your comments at the end of this video. Don't worry about it. But I want to say, I'll say this right now. Thank you for this comment, Alex. Charlie built his brand on transparency and having hard conversations. Debate me. Yeah, that was his term that he would use on college campuses. Why are none of them wanting to debate? For those of you who are not completely caught up on the saga, which I don't blame you because there's so much to it, what they did is Candace Owens has been asking them again and again for weeks, please answer my questions. Please, let's talk about this. Let's debate this. And they finally said, okay, we will have you, Candace. We'll talk to you. They put it out on a tweet, not even a tweet including Candace. They just tweeted it on their random Blake Neff's Twitter in the middle of the night, midnight. And they gave her 1 day to respond. They said it had to be on this date, December 15th, and it had to be in person. And she responded she couldn't make that date work in person. Can we live stream it? And they said no. You have to come in person or not at all. And for those of you who might not know either, she's also had the French government allegedly had a plot to assassinate her. So I don't blame her for not wanting to go in person, especially not to an organization that might be involved in Charlie's assassination. And guys, when he was first killed, I never would have imagined that this would have been the trajectory of the media coverage. And I hope that he gets a fair trial, Tyler Robinson. So we're going to get to the heart of the matter now, which is religious manipulation. It doesn't matter what religion or spiritual beliefs that you hold. Religious manipulation, it involves something called moral certainty and also unchecked authority, but it is also very harmful. And this too is something I lived through in my own family, so I'm extremely aware of it when I see it or hear of it happening. So faith can obviously get weaponized. Anyone's faith can get weaponized, and faith can become a control mechanism when it's framed as righteousness, when questioning is framed as rebellion, or discomfort is framed as spiritual weakness, or if your loyalty, asking questions that they don't want you to ask, you're disloyal and you seem disloyal, that's framed as being unfaithful to God. And then suddenly disagreeing isn't about disagreeing. It's about being a moral failure. And when faith is used to manipulate people and to control people, it is no longer, in my opinion, in the name of God. It is being used for ulterior motives. And for people who've lived through religious abuse, religious manipulation, the language that is sometimes employed can be immediately recognizable, while other people might not necessarily see it right away. It's often calm, it's confident, and it's hard sometimes to argue against somebody who is employing scripture, who's employing the name of God. And survivors are often the first to notice it, not because we're sensitive. Also, it's not because we're sensitive. It's because we've paid the cost of not noticing already. We know what it feels like to be duped, to be betrayed, to be harmed in the name of God. And a lot of this is involving spiritual manipulation. So I think you guys can sense where I stand on this topic, but I'm going to play a few more videos to give you the full picture.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying,
I gotta restart this. So this is Erica Kirk responding to the allegations that Charlie Kirk had messaged several people the day before he was assassinated saying, I'm worried they're going to kill me tomorrow.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone. Didn't say that.
He wrote me this: please pray for me. I'm under the gun on something right now. Prayers appreciated. I texted him and I said, I hope you've increased your security detail. He texted me back. He said, quote, I have. I know they want me dead. And I don't know who he meant by they.
Okay, so you have Candace Owens claiming that one of the people in the head of TPUSA told her that Charlie texted her that. You also have Frank Turek, which just showed in this video, claiming and reading the text message that Charlie had sent him. There's the other question I have, which is, Erica Kirk claims that she has Charlie's phone. So in my head, there's like two options. Number one, she has his phone because they are failing to do a proper investigation. Or two, she is lying and she does not have his phone. Because I watch enough true crime to know that if somebody is murdered, especially in a political assassination, that phone is going to be key evidence that the prosecution and the defense, sorry, I have something in my eye, and the defense is going to want to collect. They're going to want to analyze that. They're going to want to tear through that cell phone. Now with these accusations coming out, especially, they're going to want to have their hands on that cell phone. How is it possible that Erica Kirk even has that cell phone? Okay, so one of two possibilities. She has it and they're not doing a full investigation, which might be the case. It seems like they are gung-ho for Tyler Robinson and no other explanation, no other people who might have been even involved. Or two, she's lying and she doesn't have the phone. Now, if she's lying about the messages, I think that is extremely incriminating. But we'll have to just wait and see because we don't have enough information right now. Sadly, I hope the investigation does not go the same way as JFK. I will say that. I really hope so. But let's just play another video because there is more to this.
Erica Kirk's most recent interview on Fox News was honestly very telling and very revealing. So I want to talk about the body language and the psychology that I noticed. I was done with Erica Kirk, and then I had a lot of people asking me to please do this, so here we go. And you're going to want to watch this, because here in a minute, I'm going to tell you something that was very, very revealing, and it's probably the most revealing thing that she has said this far. Before Erica even starts to speak, she's got her head down like this. To me, this is a classic docile victimization. She's very much trying to portray that she's a victim. So in the beginning, Erica is asked, what's up with this disturbing narrative about people trying to find his body? And she responds with, can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing? Can I have one thing? And then she makes that really strange comment about how they're building him a museum-style memorial. So right here, in my opinion, she's pivoting into victimhood and deflection. Also, in my opinion, she's kind of got that repetition there to buy time. She's centering herself instead of her husband. She's trying to appeal to pity without directly answering the question or addressing why all of these different theories are actually out. And the museum-style memorial thing was kind of like that, again, that martyrdom framing. His death was a sacrifice. It also reveals how all of this could potentially be curated, controlled. She's the ringleader of a legacy. Next, we're going to talk about when she says she wanted to have one thing sacred to herself, her babies, and her parents. And then after this, we're going to talk about the most revealing, craziest thing she has said yet. She says, can I have one thing sacred to myself, my babies, and my parents? But she doesn't mention his parents, Charlie's parents. To me, this omission here is major. Classic ownership language and narrative control. She's framing the sacredness to only her and her inner circle. This could be a couple different things, maybe a subconscious distancing to the people who could possibly challenge her narrative. It positions her as the primary owner of him and his memories. Yeah, that omission about not mentioning his parents was, yeah. Now, let's talk about the biggest, most revealing, craziest thing, in my opinion, that she has said since all of this started. And please really stick with me here because I really want you to understand where I'm going with this. She compares people asking questions to herself being Nehemiah building a monument in the Bible.
Okay. I got to pause it here because that is exactly what my psychologically abusive parent did. She would compare herself to saints in the Catholic Church. She would compare herself to people in the Bible. It came naturally to her to compare herself to saints, people who had reached sainthood in the Bible. If you are a person and your natural instinct is to compare yourself to a prophet or a saint, you've got some narcissistic tendencies going on, in my opinion. And how can you argue against somebody who asserts such high moral authority?
Now let's talk about why that is so ridiculous and so telling. First, let me say, in my opinion, this is classic grandiosity with religious framing. She's reframing people wanting answers to their questions as spiritual attacks. This is the same strategy that people do when they're trying to morally justify not addressing serious questions.
Exactly. She hasn't addressed any questions at all. She's just given reasons why she doesn't need to, which is not going to silence the questions, by the way. That is more suspicious. The more she opens her mouth, the more suspicious it all becomes to me.
She says, I'm busy building. This line is loaded. Typically, when somebody is grieving, they're not trying to build. They're not busy building. To me, this screams that she is trying to build an empire around the optics of this tragedy. And biblical knowledge here, Nehemiah told his enemies that he cannot come down from the wall. So she is framing people being inquisitive about this entire situation as her enemies.
Yes. Now, think about that. Just like close your eyes. Imagine that your spouse is murdered, assassinated in front of thousands of people. It's shown across the entire internet. You would be in fight or flight mode. And when you're in fight or flight mode, you're not able to work with your executive functioning. Your executive functioning, your decision making, your critical thinking, your ability to form sentences, for crying out loud, is impaired. You go into fight or flight mode, survival mode, and you are in a deep state of shock. Or one would think you would be if you didn't know it was coming. And anybody who is questioning, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Trying to understand and gather more information about this tragedy. And you as the grieving widow, the one in shock and the one in this fight or flight mode, they are your enemies? That does not make sense. That does not make sense. If you have your husband assassinated in front of you and the world, and you're not prepared for it, how would people asking questions and trying to get the truth, how would they be your enemies? Why would they be your enemies? Why? The only thing I could think of is that you wouldn't want the truth. And she's already said that she fully believes that Tyler Robinson was the sole shooter, that the FBI have a solid case, and that she's not worried about it at all. If something doesn't feel right, we have an intuition and a gut feeling for a reason. I truly believe that after 20 years of ignoring my own intuition about my own psychologically abusive parent, I will say, listen to your intuition.
So that doesn't really align with her previous comment when she says, anytime we get a lead, we turn it into authorities, which brings me to my very last point. I thought the case was solved, Erica. I thought that Tyler Robinson had been arrested and he was incarcerated. So what leads are you getting? Pretty contradicting there. And she made the comment about go down that rabbit hole. So you're confirming that there's a rabbit hole to go down? This video is getting kind of long. If you want a part 2 to this, please let me know.
I know I'm just showing TikTok videos, but people on TikTok are not getting censored. People on X, it's kind of ridiculous the amount of bots who are just slamming Candace Owens for asking questions, you guys, for asking questions. Okay. And I want to say something really important here. You can believe truly that you are righteous and that you are, lockstep with God and that you are a spiritually sound person. You can truly believe that you are good and religious and holy and still cause a lot of harm. You can believe that you are in the right and that you're protecting your husband's legacy and that you're doing the right decisions, and you can still be manipulating. You can still be enforcing control. There can be an element of delusion, of pathological lying, of convincing yourself of your own lies. I don't want to accuse Erica Kirk or Turning Point of anything in this video. I'm speculating. This is all speculation, entertainment and purposes only, allegedly, all of it. But why would a widow be more angry at someone asking questions and trying to find answers to things that don't add up? She'd be angry at that person than the actual person she believes assassinated her husband. Let me know in the chat here what you guys think, or in the comments. Let me know what you think. Because it's not adding up to me whatsoever. And I've been following this controversy every single day. My husband will laugh because he'll just hear Candace or Erica playing on my phone, because this is so messed up. This is so messed up. And the government thinks, and all these other people think, that we are so freaking stupid that they can do Darvo. Let me pull it up again for those who don't know, that they can deny the perpetrator, deny it, attack the one who is asking the questions, and reverse the victim and offender. So suddenly, Candace Owens, for asking questions, whether or not you agree with everything she believes or says, I personally do not agree with everything she says, but she is spot on in this investigation. She has asked very, very important questions, and the behavior from Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA has been to deny everything and to attack the person primarily asking the questions, then reversing the victim and offender and making Candace into the offender, Turning Point and Erica Kirk as the endless victim. And, I'm glad that Candace Owens hasn't let it get to her, hasn't gotten to the point where it's made her stop. But that is the tactic, and that is what their goal is, I believe, to get her to shut up. How do I know this? Because this is my life. This is still going on in my family with me being with the abusive parent reversing victim and offender. It's classic. I see it right away. I'm going to play one more video, and then I'm going to get to some of your comments. Thank you guys for being here.
I'm in to do the dark psychology of Erica Kirk, and what I will start with is moral certainty is one of the oldest control tactics in human history. And religions, religious leaders, Erica Kirk, love doing this tactic of moral elevation. Basically, when someone positions themselves as morally superior or above, more enlightened than others. This automatically is a domination tactic, which basically is, if I'm good, which I am, then that means you're bad.
Okay. One more thought I just had while I'm rewatching this video for like the third time is that she can claim the moral authority, but not only that, she can claim authority over Charlie because she was his wife. That's why you hear all of these claims she's making about Charlie's beliefs, about what Charlie said and did and wanted and what he thought. She can make those claims and have that authority over Charlie because she was his spouse. In any other type of criminal investigation or, murder, the spouse is always investigated. Really, you're most likely to be killed by someone someone in your family even. So why are they not investigating everyone in this case scenario?
It's domination disguised as virtue. Listen to when Erica gives these interviews where she is talking also even with forgiving her husband's murder. I forgive because God has led me to forgive. Anyone who has questioned Charlie Kirk's death, they are painted as a sinner. They are painted as, how can you even be questioning me on this? Erica's also very interesting. She does what Meghan Markle also does, which is selective vulnerability. I will be vulnerable when I feel like it on my terms, but when you tell me when I need to be vulnerable, how dare you? My husband is dead. On this morality play, like I said, we've seen this in religious structures throughout history. In high control belief systems, morality is not about the truth. It is about obedience. Religious language has always been powerful because it does not argue facts. It threatens belonging. And you see this so much in churches. If you grew up religious and maybe had a curious, questioning mind and you questioned anything, you go back to, you have to have faith. You have to have faith. Erica has
Yeah. Oh God, she's so spot on.
basically taken all religious tactics of control and has repackaged them. And every single, if you look at a cult or just the religious systems at play and you see in the times where they have gone the darkest, what are the tactics they have used? Those are the tactics that Erica Kirk is using to not be questioned.
Okay, I will add to this because I have read, if you guys have followed my channel for a while, you know that I did a deep dive into cults. It's very similar to the relationship that a child will have with the psychologically abusive parent. It's a cult-like relationship. And so what Dr. Stephen Hassan is America's leading cult expert. And in his widely renowned book, Freedom of Mind, he goes into depth about how people are made to are brought into cults. Essentially, he describes the bite model. So the way that people are brought into cults and made to believe the cult member and all of the beliefs that you must have to be in the cult, it's a very tight, closed system where there's complete control of your behavior. It's an acronym, BITE. Your behavior, your information that you receive, your thoughts, and your emotions. So they're trying to control your behavior, the information you receive, your thoughts, and your emotions. If they can control all of that, just like a parent with their child, if you can control all of that, you can control that person's identity. You can control their very identity.
Because we've seen it time and time again. When someone claims moral authority, they are not asking to be heard or to say the good doctrine. They are asking to be obeyed. Righteousness is the cleanest way to avoid accountability. Every cult actually starts the same way. It's not with evil. It is with someone who is too good to be questioned. I think anyone with a curious mind, even if you really like Erica Kirk, if you're an Erica Kirk stan, we should always be asking anyone who is in this position of power, who is leading, who are listening to, watch how they handled disagreement. Erica repeatedly frames disagreement as harmful, immoral, or dangerous. And to police people on questioning from this moral high ground superiority, I have found enlightenment, I have found healing, red flags should go off for you. I am very on board with the statement of everyone grieves differently, but I think it should be questioned that the way she is grieving differently is literally follows the same alignment as cult leaders do. So very curious indeed.
Yes. And I have a lot more that I could say about just the feeling you get when you watch her, but I won't go into any of that because I just wanted to stick with like the facts and like the psychological religious elements of all of this. And I'll just get to your comments right now. I know this is such a sad topic, guys. Thank you for hanging in if you're still here. So I'm going to mention a few comments. So Alex says everyone around them should be investigated. Yeah, like name another investigation where the spouse is not investigated, especially when there are some lies that have been told now. Alex says again, Charlie built his brand. Oh yeah, I already shared that comment. Remy says, poor Charlie is turning in his grave. I'm glad to see that you guys are questioning the narrative that is trying to be pushed as well. I think the fact that they're trying to push it so hard makes me question it even more. I think that they need somebody who is like well versed in psychological manipulation, because this is a shit show. They're not doing a good job. I see right through it. I'll share a few more comments. I feel like the only justice we might see is knowing that this was an operation. I hope not. I hope and pray that the Lord reveals and lifts the curtain on all of this. I hope so too. Even if it, destroys the Republican Party, I want the truth. We deserve the truth. And I believe it was something along the lines that Candace said the other day is, Charlie's legacy is not what he left behind, which is what Erica Kirk has been saying. Charlie's legacy might be that he poured everything into getting Donald Trump elected, everything into the Republican Party and these ideals that he stood behind, and he got completely used and killed for it. It's very, very sad. Mama Cat Dawn says Erica mentions his parents as her in-laws, which is still self-centered victimization. She barely mentions them at all. She really barely mentions them at all. Her behavior has been off from the start. I agree. Love your use of Darvo to explain the situation with Erica and Candace. Great to see it revealed in this situation. Thank you. I've been thinking about that from the start and surprised that nobody else has really touched on that. It is just classic Darvo. Classic Darvo. And if they had nothing to hide, wouldn't they just easily answer her questions? That's what I come back to. That's what I come back to. Such a sad event, absolutely. Eve says the only person who really loved Charlie were his original family and Candace, and his children. I'll add that. So sad. And so many of his conservative, quote unquote, friends have betrayed him one way or the other. I know. Gosh, who was shocked yesterday to see Megyn Kelly's take? To see Megyn Kelly, first of all, condemn Tyler Robinson before the trial has even begun. Like, what happened to innocent until proven guilty in this country? And then also to have been his friend. One of the last interviews that Charlie Kirk did was with Megyn Kelly, and she's not questioning anything. She's standing behind Erica Kirk, blindly. Really sad because Charlie was all about questioning. Question everything, use your critical thinking. He would be so upset, my opinion, this is just my opinion, he would be so upset with his organization, with his friends, quote unquote friends, with his wife. He'd be so upset with the way they are handling this situation. He would be so upset. Progressive Patches says, it's as if because we know it's an assassin, it automatically makes Erica innocent. Yeah, and because she wasn't there in the crowd too. Shocking, really, that she has not been investigated. I agree. Thank you guys for being here. It's just so sad. I had to say something. I've been following this case so closely. The event, actually, his assassination happened an hour from where I live, an hour away. And my husband even had people on their job right there. So he was like personally, he knew people right there at the event. And it's been really hard. It really shook me up because I went to college campuses 2 years ago. I went to several college campuses to talk about parental alienation. I did these college campus tours, and the reason why I did that, I talked to hundreds of people and educated them on the psychological abuse I went through for 20 years. And all the reason why I did that is because I was inspired by Charlie Kirk. I didn't agree with everything he said, certainly not. But he inspired me to do that because the youth of our country need to be challenged. They need to know that critical thinking is crucial, and they need to learn how to not be easily manipulated. So this is, in a way, it's personal to me. Thank you guys for being here. I really thought that I would have more people dissenting and not agreeing. Maybe later in the comments, I will get that. But I do want to put out this comment as well. And Erica was Charlie's handler. So if you do any research into Erica, you will learn about the Romanian angels and child trafficking that she was accused of. She also happened to win Miss America pageant that Trump put on without any previous training. It's also odd to me that Erica and Charlie happened to meet for the first time in Israel. You can find a picture on the Reddit, the subreddit Candace Owens. You can actually find a picture of Erica, Charlie's widow, with BB. I'm not going to say it because I might get monitored. I don't even know how the internet works these days. But with his son and Tyler Boyer, too many coincidences for me to feel comfortable. Too many coincidences for me to feel comfortable. And I'll just highlight this. They really thought they could brush it under the rug. Not going to work. No, it's not going to work. And if they continue this investigation the way that they are doing it, and the sad part to me is that all you hear from these Turning Point officials is demonizing Erica Kirk, demonizing anyone who has questions, and they're all worried about the Republican primaries. That's what they're worried about, the primaries, an election. That is what they're worried about. So to me, that says a lot. That says a lot. And I do want to put this on the screen. Sorry, Maddie, I disagree. You're forgetting about how much anger people feel towards the media these days. Listen, you're allowed to disagree. You're totally allowed to disagree with me. That's more than welcome. I invite you to disagree with me. I like to be challenged, and I do agree. The media, there's so much anger, and I don't even like to read my comments most of the time. And a lot of people have a lot of anger. Everybody is very divided right now. I just wanted to share my point of view because of my firsthand experience with a narcissistic, borderline, manipulative parent. Okay, so I hope that this has been insightful or helpful in some way. If you're watching this and something clicked with you, or something felt familiar that I touched on, please know that you're not crazy, you're not overreacting, and most importantly, you're not alone. You're not alone. I hope that you guys can tell, or that you know that I never want to force anyone to think anything. I want to encourage everybody to think for themselves. Use your own critical thinking. Don't take my word for anything. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions. It's more about giving language to our experiences that are often silenced. Explaining Darvo, explaining gaslighting, explaining religious manipulation, and using a moral authority. And please don't use this space to attack anyone. If you want to have a conversation about all of this in the comment section, please do. I think that would really generate a helpful discussion, and how this is related to manipulation and psychological tactics. if you got anything from this live stream, please like it, share it, leave a comment. All of that really helps boost it into the algorithm. And part of why I want to talk about this topic beyond the fact that it is so interesting to me and I've been quite obsessed with it is because when I touch on larger political or social issues that are happening in our world, it can also bring awareness to parental alienation. So please hit that like button to help people come to my channel and learn more about parental alienation. And perhaps they'll learn that, hey, was I manipulated to believe these things about my other parent? Was I manipulated to actually reject my parent? So I do use these political and social issues to draw attention to what probably a lot of you guys watching have experienced firsthand, which is the heartbreaking reality of a loving parent-child bond being broken for the sake of a manipulative parent. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.